My natural tendency when playing video games is to finish every built-in task and objective. However, that which qualifies as 100% completion material can be confusing, especially when there's a surplus of optional content. Heck, some games are totally up to the player's discretion, and with this, the line between what is and isn't required becomes increasingly blurred. As such, the fairest and best way to judge games is to assess them in their entirety, making no distinction between main and side content. However, experiencing everything firsthand for a thorough evaluation isn't always realistically possible due to ridiculous stipulations. Once something is established as some kind of completion criteria, it becomes valid grounds for criticism, as players may feel responsible for it. Naturally then, designers shouldn't set up challenges or expectations that aren't reasonable or fun, else it reflects badly on the game as a whole. While ideally, every piece of content should be of similar value, anything framed as mandatory is under a heavier spotlight. Aligning undesirable tasks with the core progression system can sour the casual experience. The biggest factors influencing what counts for 100% completion are structure and appearance. Blatant checklists or reward systems plant a subconscious obligation, even when detached from the main game. It therefore pays to be careful where and how rewards and acknowledgements are allocated, as that could cause something to be misidentified as legitimate content. Even stuff like having a finite amount of collectibles or maximum limits can unintentionally compel people to collect or max out everything. It's way too easy to throw in any number of arbitrary goals in order to lengthen a game. Achievements are perhaps the prime example of this tacked-on busywork, and taking these into account for a game's final verdict would almost always be a disservice given how pointless and disconnected they usually are. Challenge strictly for the sake of difficulty or playtime is unhealthy, so it's better to let obsessive players make up these absurd goals themselves. Convenience is key to maintaining the drive for 100%, so anything to help that along without removing the challenge is greatly appreciated. I personally love when games give me a roadmap of what I have left to do, along with very clear steps and tools to aid my completionist journey, such as clues indicating where to focus my attention and concise record-keeping logging my progress. Otherwise, I'm forced to consult the internet or other outside resources, which shouldn't be needed. A completionist seeks to milk games for all they're worth, so having all cards on the table is a display of confidence in the content being offered. On the other hand, there are situations where ignoring accomplishments is smarter in the long run. It's tempting for developers to sneak in secrets for clever players. However, lumping these into 100% completion can prove problematic. Secrets are only agreeable if they are relatively harmless, because necessitating them is an annoyance for those unaware. To avoid such upsets, it's safest not to hide exclusive or consequential prizes behind these discoveries. Replayability is another treat for dedicated or experimental people, and likewise can't be forced as that defeats the purpose. If replay value is imposed on those wanting a single complete playthrough, then it's no longer a bonus. It's common to manipulate audiences into returning through the promise of extra stuff to do or an award waiting on the other side, teasing a sense of fulfillment that may or may not come true. But an honest game has no need for these tricks. Challenges ought to be based on skill or intuition rather than time or luck. Wasting hours of mindless busywork or relying on RNG to earn a stamp of approval is lousy. I believe every game should be designed around the completion process, as this can unify the experience and respect players' time and commitment. The careful usage of rewards, wisely defining what is and isn't officially recognized, providing tools and options to manage progress, and having realistic expectations of the player base goes a long way to maintain positive reception. There should be no incentive, encouragement, or any discernible reason to pursue goals or activities that aren't enjoyable in practice. I think there's a lot of wisdom in knowing when to give players permission to quit while the game is still fun. Everyone's tolerance will vary, but to earn my recommendation, the last impression is just as important as the first.